This is Dr. Koontz. This project video is for my friends who teach. In this video, we will create a feedback tool for teachers that will help by simplifying recurring comments when doing grading. The goal of this project is for teachers to be able to quickly provide student feedback by maintaining a list of comments for an assignment, and then simply placing an X by the comments that are appropriate for each student. The result will be a single cell containing all of the selected comments, which can then be copied and pasted to your course management system so that you can provide feedback to your students. Finally, we will build a macro to clear the selections and attach it to a button so that we can easily clear out the selections and be ready to grade the next project. Let's start with an empty spreadsheet, and we can build this project together from scratch. So we're ready to begin, and the first thing I'm going to do is create the basic structure for my project, and then after we create the structure, we'll make it work. I'm going to use column D, and at the top here we're going to put our feedback section. So this is where the students' remarks are going to be accumulated. And I put a heading in D1 and bolded it. In D2, I'm going to make row 2 taller so that multiple comments will show up together there. In D3, I'll put a header for comments. And in E3, let's add a header for selections and bold those. And then I want to select D3 all the way down through E. Let's go through 35. And I'm going to change the background color of that to a light orange color for me. But the idea here is just so that I can see the range that I'm working with. E was a little bit short, so I widened column E so that you could see the whole word selections there. So now I have my basic structure. The next step will be to create a couple of comments that are just test comments so that we can make sure everything is working. And obviously, if this was for a course, you would start typing the comments as you were grading, and it would fill in the comment section with things that are appropriate for each assignment. So I'm just going to call this comment 1, comment 2, comment 3, comment 4, and comment 5. Now we're ready to build our formula. And the formula is going to go into cell D2, which is where our feedback will be accumulating. So go to D2, and in D2 we'll type this formula, equal to, and then we're going to use the Textjoin function. So the Textjoin function is going to grab some different pieces of text and join it together. And the first thing it wants to know is, do you have a delimiter that you want to use between each row? And what I would like to do is have each comment be on its own row. So I'm going to use a line feed, but to express line feed I actually need the keyboard character, which is the char function, and then I'm going to put in the number 10. So the character function, or char, will actually print a line feed, so between each comment we'll get a new row. Now let's do a comma. The next thing is, do you want to ignore empty cells? And the answer to that is true. I do want to ignore empty cells. The next thing it wants is the text to join together, and this is where we don't want all the text. We only want the text where the person that's using this has selected an X in column E. What I'm going to use is an if function. So if, and the logical test will be if the range E4 through E35. So I selected E4 through E35. If that is equal to quote X, then, so now a comma, So So if that's true, then we want the range, and I can just type it or I can select it, D4 through D35. Otherwise, we want nothing, so I'll put just a quote, quote. And then I'm going to close my parentheses, so that's the parenthesis for the if function. I will close my parenthesis again. That was the parenthesis for my text join function, and hit enter. Now let's test it. So I'll come into E4 for my selection and hit a little X, and comment 1 shows up in cell D2. Let's also get comment 4. Comment 4 is showing up, but they aren't exactly as I expected, because I expected a row between comment 1 and comment 4. And the reason that we aren't getting a row is that I need to go ahead and tell the cell to wrap text. So I'm going to click on D2 and come up here into the Home tab, and then on my ribbon choose the Wrap Text button. And now 1 and 4 are wrapping off, and let's I'll add comment 5, and you can see comment 5 is there, great, and it's wrapping properly the way I expected. Let's also move this to the top. So I'm going to go to the Home tab and then choose the top align button, and that'll bring all my comments up to the top of that cell so that I can see them. Great. So the first part of this project is done. We've got the comments working the way we expect. If we want to add a 6th comment as we go, we can do that. And then we could also select that one, and it shows up in our feedback. So now I could come up here and copy that and then go paste it somewhere else, and it should be happy. The last part of this project involves creating a macro so that we can quickly clear out all the X's and get ready to start for the next student's project. To create a macro, you will first need to enable your developer tab, which you can see up here on my toolbar. If you do not have the developer tab enabled, I have a video that will show you how to do that. Check the comments below for a link for either PC or Mac. Once developer tab is enabled, we can click on it and record a macro. So I've clicked on developer tab, and now I'll go to record macro. I'm going to name my macro clear select. I am not going to choose a shortcut key because I'm going to attach this macro to a button. I will store the macro in this workbook. So once I click OK, it's going to start recording everything I do. So click OK. I'm now in record mode. The macro is watching to see what I'm going to do. I'm going to select E4 all the way down through E35. So that's selected. I'm going to press my delete key. That will eliminate all the X's. And then I'm going to click just on E4 so it's ready for the next iteration. Now I'm going to press stop recording. And that's it. My macro has been recorded and saved. Over here on the side you can see your macro is successfully recorded. You can save your script or discard script. I can click save. I don't really need to look at it in the code editor, so I'm just going to close that and close that. Now I would like to attach my macro to a custom button, and I like to use a shape for my custom button, so I'm going to go to Insert, Illustrations, and choose Shapes. I'll pick the rounded rectangle, and I will come over here and just draw a rounded rectangle. That looks nice. Notice that under the shape format section of the ribbon, I can use the theme styles, and I'm going to choose orange because we've got orange already on our workbook. And I like this bottom one that is the intense effect. It looks a little bit like it's been beveled. It's got a drop shadow. So I'm choosing that. I also want to type on the button. Let's type clear selections. And then I see my text, but I would like to center that and also make the font bigger. So I'm going to select that text, and I'm going to jump to my Home tab. I'll choose a bigger font, and then I'll also center it both vertically and horizontally. And now I can click off of that button, and that's what my button looks like. It looks great. Let's right click on the button and choose Assign Macro. And now I can see that I have this clear select. So I'm going to choose that and say OK. And now the macro is attached to my buttons. We can test that. So let's go in here and put a couple X's. You can see the comments are still working. When I tap clear selections, they're gone, and my feedback box is now empty. We're ready for the next student's work. Before I quit, I need to do one more thing, and that is I need to save this as a macro-enabled workbook. So let's do that now. File, Save As. I'm going to click Browse, and then right here where it says Save As Type, I'm going to click on that and change it to Excel Macro-Enabled Workbook, and now I can call it whatever I want. Comments Helper, and click Save, and it is now saved as a macro-enabled workbook so that when I reopen it, my macro should still be enabled. Incidentally, if you need this for multiple assignments, you can name the tab. So in this case, I named my tab Assignment 1, and now I can copy my tab, so move or copy, and I'm going to leave it in the the workbook that it's in. But I want to create a copy, and I'll say OK. And now I have a new assignment. I can double click on the tab and rename it. And in this way, I can keep different sets of comments for each assignment. Let me change my comments for my false assignment 2, which obviously these aren't real comments. And now I can test the selections, and they're working for assignment 2, and also the macro will still work on that tab as well as the first one. I hope this was helpful for you. Please feel free to leave comments and questions.